And I hope that those two teams really set a great precedent at Colgate.
That gym was packed every single night. It was standing room only.
Colgate is headed back to the NCAA tournament.
It was so exciting. Campus was inflamed with excitement.
Colgate refusing to go away out of the Patriot League.
I look at those banners. I'm proud of those teams. We talk to our guys often about what it takes, that it can be done.
I was just very proud to see our name in lights on ESPN. We would just be running around the locker room saying, da-na-na, da-na-na.
It's the Patriot League title game, the Navy Midshipmen and the Red Raiders of Colgate. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tom Lees along with Derek Dickey.
It was the greatest era of on-court success for Colgate men's basketball.
Neale and a breakaway for Tucker Neale. Foyle with a rebound.
On March 10th, 1995, the Raiders defeated Navy for their first Patriot League Championship, qualifying for the big dance, the NCAA tournament.
And an outlet to Tucker Neale. And a foul.
March Madness was about to sweep Colgate.
Colgate going to the big dance. They celebrated Hamilton, New York.
It was the first time in 95 years we made the tournament, so it just seemed like, there was definitely a vibe around campus.
I'll never forget the game against Navy in Cotterell Court. The week leading up to it was very, very exciting. Every time a new ESPN truck came into the parking lot, it was like the wave just hit the village of Hamilton. The excitement was just over the top.
Oh, it was crazy. It was truly March Madness, but throughout the season, especially with Adonal and Tucker playing so well, the place will be packed.
Colgate was right in the middle of one of the nation's greatest sporting spectacles, the NCAA Division I basketball tournament. The Raiders, champions of the Patriot League, were a 16 seed and drew number 1 seed Kansas in the first round at Dayton, Ohio.
Neale, the lob. That pretty?
For the school, it was an exciting time, and to be able to play on that stage was a boyhood dream come true.
Nice little dish. Maloney to Tucker Neale.
Since we were the underdog, I think we were a 16 seed. Everybody in the arena was cheering for us, and it was really exciting.
Neale for three. Isn't this great? Don't back off at all.
The Red Raiders from Hamilton, New York, hang in there with the number 1 seed.
Colgate played the Jayhawks tough,
Great hustle by Maloney to save it.
cutting the lead to only 4 in the second half.
Here, the dunk by Foyle.
But Kansas held on and won 82-68.
Vaughn for 3.
Playing against Kansas, getting the 16th seed, making it there, and actually making a game of it.
Dished it off nicely for the easy 2 for Brendan Toohey.
We were right there, had a chance as a 16th seed, to beat up one of the best teams and to be competitive with one of the best teams. It was remarkable.
We were kind of a throwback generation, and we showed that we can compete with a team like Kansas, who ended up having 6 NBA guys in their roster, but we ended up with only 1.
And he departs the program as the all-time leading scorer.
Just seeing Colgate on that level in the tournament was incredible.
And the number 1 seed moves along.
Kansas advanced to the 1995 Sweet 16, while the Raiders regrouped for another magical run. To understand the significance of Colgate's new basketball success, you need to look at the Raiders' history before the 90s. There were 14 straight losing seasons, including a 1-24 record in 1986. Then, in 1989, Colgate hired New York City native Jack Bruin as head coach. He arrived in Hamilton and started right to work, changing the basketball attitude.
He was the quintessential New Yorker. I mean, whatever he was thinking, he's gonna let you know about it.
The town embraced Jack. They loved his style of basketball. A nice group of little old ladies would sit behind the bench every game, whether he was screaming or yelling. They just loved whatever he did. They thought it was charming. Even if he was saying a couple of bad words, they just thought it was charming.
Last year, our opponent won this championship with some class and some dignity. Let's do the same thing. Good for Jack Bruin.
Fans came to watch him. You know, he really put on a show on the sidelines. They couldn't wait to see when he took his jacket off and threw it down.
Coach Bruin was an unbelievable leader. He's able to put kids together from California and Ohio and from the inner cities of New York and bring us all together into one place and to fight for a common goal.
By 1992, the Raiders were 14-14. In 1993, they won 18 games and lost by 2 points in the Patriot League playoffs at Bucknell. In 1994, they advanced to the Patriot League Finals, losing by 2 points at Navy.
When Coach Bruin came to the program, Colgate hadn't had a double-digit winning season for over 10 years. So he was the true start of changing the actual program.
Hassan Brown, John Stone, Nate O'Neal, Steve Benton, people who really got the momentum on our side.
Those teams laid the foundation, and in 1994, Adonal Foyle committed to Colgate.
You know, I just remember when he signed to come to Colgate, there was a little cartoon, and it showed Syracuse, then it showed Duke, and just a map, and it says, "Where's Adonal Foyle going?" And then there's a little star by Hamilton, New York. And Adonal is special, and he was such a great fit for Colgate.
His final five were, Duke, Syracuse, Kansas, Colgate, and North Carolina. So for us to win out in that type of battle was huge.
With the freshman Foyle joining experienced scoring leader and Patriot League Player of the Year Tucker Neale, along with Jimmy Maloney, Mike Roberts, Tim Bolin, and a talented roster, a lot was expected. Bruin put together a tough early schedule for the 94-95 season. It was tough. The Raiders started 1-8.
We got off to a terrible start. I think we lost like our first 6 games before we got one win against some pretty tough competition. Then we lost a few more, and then when the season rolled around for the league play, we got on a roll.
Tui to Tucker Neale, has got that mismatch.
And then when Jimmy Maloney and Brendan Tui stepped up, so we had all the positions filled on the team, and then we had depth. We had some guys on the bench that really competed for playing time.
They leave Cupid open.
And the battle-tested Raiders hit their groove, going 16-4 the rest of the way, and marched into the finals. This time on their court, they defeated the Midshipmen 68-63.
The last day before spring break. So we were worried that there wouldn't be a lot of students. The students would all be heading out of town. About 2 or 3 hours before the game, I walked over and the place was packed. I mean, the students turned out. So it was really an electric atmosphere.
Coach Bruin had the team come out several times before the game started because the place was packed, and he just wanted the players to experience everyone cheering for them and yelling.
The 94-95 season ended with that respectable showing against Kansas in the NCAA tournament. In 1996, the Raiders earned home court advantage again, and this time played Holy Cross in the finals at Cotterill Court.
Jimmy Maloney. Roberts is going to have to create. Mike Roberts. Trying to work the glass. Bingo.
Colgate won the Patriot League title again, 74-65. Then it was on to the NCAA tournament again.
Beautiful day outside the RCA Dome in downtown Indianapolis. We begin our coverage of the NCAA tournament in the Southeast region.
And it was 16 versus 1 again.
First shot, Ray Allen.
As the Raiders drew another major basketball power, Connecticut.
Lead pass, Mike Roberts. Red Raiders, they refuse to go away. Here's Boland. Sidearms it.
It was another strong showing against a national power, but UConn, on its way to the Sweet 16, beat Colgate 68-59.
It was really inspiring to see him go toe-to-toe, with UConn and Kansas.
I'm amazed at the names that were on site at the regional in Dayton and in Indianapolis. Duke was there, obviously UConn, we played them, Kansas, so the history of the programs, and to have Colgate on the docket was very exciting.
And if you go back in the record book, you'll probably see where Colgate's final margin in those two games were two of the closest games that a 16 seed had come to against the top seed team.
Colgate, known for other sports, was becoming a basketball school.
When I got to Colgate, everything kind of revolved around football and hockey. By the time we left campus, it was definitely much more of a basketball community.
The idea is you have to go to one of the big schools in order to make it to the NCAA tournament. I think it was a liberation for the idea that, all-American athletes can go to Colgate and have an amazing basketball experience and have an amazing opportunity in the classroom.
All the attention and national publicity that they brought to Colgate, over that 2 to 3 year period was pretty significant. We saw a real impact on our admissions numbers.
22 points.
Adonal Foyle was on his way to becoming a lottery pick in the NBA. And Jack Bruin had put together a program that looked ready to carry on for years to come.
He was just a real fun person to be around. And he was a good coach. I mean, he knew his X's and O's.
My freshman year, I was pretty lost on campus. And I guess being from New York City, there wasn't a lot of New York City basketball on that campus. So he had that spirit. He was a New Yorker, and he took to me, and he liked that in me. And I remember when I didn't have a ride to get back to campus my freshman year, after our 3-day break, he picked me up and drove me to Colgate.
There aren't many like Jack Bruin. He had so much personality. He was beloved everywhere.
But suddenly, the cheering stopped. Coach Bruin was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The emotional, tough-minded New Yorker was fighting for his life. The aggressive disease won. Coach Bruin passed away in December 1997.
I got a ton of memories about Coach Bruin. Wow.
The strength and courage that he showed in those final days, coaching up almost right up to the time he passed away. I remember the Maris game being played here in the gym his last time he coached, and it was a very, very emotional night. I think we were all brokenhearted. We lost a friend. They lost maybe a father figure for some of the players. It was a difficult time.
Coach Bruin had a way of bringing a team together and had a way of bringing a community together that I've not seen in other leaders. He was truly a leader.
I think his most important impact is that you can win at Colgate. I hope that's his impact, is that you can win at Colgate, and you should be proud.
Colgate is indebted to Coach Bruin for forever, and we're all, his students, and we're all standing in the shadow of his greatness.
Coach Bruin's legacy will last forever. Two of his players, Neale and Adonal Foyle, are enshrined in Colgate's Hall of Honor, and their numbers hang above Cotterill Court. And those two teams remain the only Colgate men's basketball teams to win the Patriot League and qualify for the NCAA playoffs.
I think it's a constant reminder of where we can be. It's also a constant reminder of where our goals should be. And there's no doubt in my mind that Colgate basketball and Colgate athletics in general can compete nationally.
For those guys to be able to do it in consecutive years really speaks a lot to not just their talent as basketball players, but to their core, their morals, their values, and what their teams represented. It's what I want for every guy in our program, is to be able to have that experience and take with them those memories.
The fact that those are the only teams that, basketball teams that have been to the NCAA tournament, I think it's a pretty special place in Colgate history.
To have a team from Colgate University, make it to the NCAA tournament, not one but 2 years in a row, and really played at the highest level and give ourselves a chance to win. I will remember my brothers, I will remember our players so fondly for really taking us on a journey that changed our lives. And we can look back now, 20 years later, and say, those were the best of times.